Hello again and welcome back. In this lesson, I'm going to continue where we left off with proximity analysis by showing you a new tool for working with distances between features. So now we know about Euclidean distance, which gives us a raster of a distance from a feature, and then we know about the buffer tool, which gives us features we can use for spatial joining. But what if we don't necessarily know how far away we want to search, but we still want to be able to attach those attributes to something? Well, that's where the near tool comes in. The near tool finds the nearest feature and gives us information about that feature. Specifically, it gives us the primary key, the object ID field of that nearest feature in another layer as an attribute on our input layer. So using the same data from last time, let's take a look at the near feature, or near tool here. So if I select my parcels as the near, or as the input features, and select the near features of just the roads here, I can run this analysis. And one thing I want to note is that I could select multiple input feature classes to be the near features here. So I can start to bring together lots of different pieces of data. I can also provide a search radius to limit how far it looks when it's looking for the nearest feature. And then I can have it give me the location as an attribute and the angle away that something is. And once again, I have the choice between planar and geodesic options for calculating those distances. In this case, I'll leave it as the default, and I'm going to click OK now, and we'll run it, and it's going to be in the bottom right corner here. And it says it's finished, but nothing else is added. Well, that's because it just runs and attaches new attributes to my attribute table. So here are the basic attributes, but then I get a near FID and a near distance and a near angle. And I can use this now to join in the original features here, the Valmeyer roads layer, to find out more information about them. In this case, though, Valmeyer roads doesn't have a whole lot of additional information I want to join, so let's get rid of the attribute table and let's just symbolize based upon which road is nearest instead. So I'll go to symbology and go to quantities and go to value, and actually go to categories and go to value and select near FID and add all values. And it looks like there are 3, and most of them, 408 of them, are closest to the road with FID of 1. But 67, a good number, are closest to the one with FID of 4, and 5 are closest to one with FID of 7. And the FID field is feature ID, but it corresponds to the object ID field in the roads layer. So I'll click OK, and I can see that these ones near the top edge happen to be closest to different roads features. And if I zoom out, that kind of makes sense. And I can use the measure tool to confirm this, that right around here, I am about 1,000 to 1,100 meters away from these roads. But I'm also probably about 1,100 meters away from these roads. So anywhere in this area is going to be closest to this road, but it's a lot further away from these. However, over here in this corner with the pink, or the purple, it's about 1,000 meters away from this road, but further to this road up here, and further to these down here. So the near tool assigned attributes to us based upon which road it was closest to. Well, what if we could do more still? What if we wanted to know any number of features that were closest? What if I wanted the 3 closest roads? Instead of just the 1, I needed to know which 3 roads were closest so that I could find the one with the highest traffic and therefore the highest pollution and use that for the analysis instead. Well, instead of the near tool, I would generate a near table. And what the near table does is the same thing as the near tool, but instead of attaching attributes to my input features, it's going to give me a table of outputs because it's giving me multiple results per feature. Once again, I'll select the parcels as the input features, and then as the near features, I'll select the roads. And for an output table this time, I'll do Valmeyer roads near parcels, or Valmeyer parcels near roads. And in this case, I'm not going to specify a search radius, but I will say uncheck that find only the closest feature, and I'll have it select 3 closest matches And once again, let's get the angle off of it. Which angle direction is the feature away from it? And let's run it now. It's running in the bottom right corner there again. And when it's done, it gives us an attribute table back, and I can take a look at it. And it gives me the input FID, so my parcels, the near FID for the roads, the distance between the two, and then the ranking. So since I said give me the 3 closest, it tells you which one of those is closest without you having to process the distance, and then the angle since I selected that option. Now, I can't just join this in because there are multiple records per feature, but I can select, or I can create a relate or relationship class to handle this instead. So I'll use that. I'll go to joins and relates and relate, and I'm going to select object ID here, and then I'm not joining to the object ID field in the Valmeyer parcels near roads table, because remember that's just the primary key for that table. Instead, I need to do the input FID here, and then I'll do near roads as the name for the relate and click OK. And now if I select some features in here and go to the attribute table and show my related records here, I can see the roads that are nearby, and I can also potentially do a relate to the roads so that I could get the other information on the roads. So I realize I'm throwing a lot of information at you here, but I want you to know about these different tools that approach all of these similar problems from just slightly different angles. So we have the buffer and multi-ring buffer for one type of proximity analysis, but then we can also do the near and the near table to get a lot of other information to attach to our features. There are all sorts of uses for these tools. I'm sure you can think of some from your own professions. Okay, that's it for this lecture. In this lecture, I showed you the near tool and the generate near table tool, which we can use to find which features are nearby to other features, and they each have different capabilities. The near tool just finds the closest feature and gives us some information about it as an attribute on the input features, and the generate near table gives us information about lots of nearby features instead, and that we can use to create relates or to look up information about other features based upon their relationship to an existing set of features. I hope you find these tools useful. See you next time.